Agonizing night. I discovered I could no longer walk properly. Instead of my normal stride, I was now walking with small shuffled steps. I felt very unbalanced, like everything was spinning. I was on a second-story tier, and it was nearly impossible for me to get down the stairs. I was again sent to medical, and this time I was told that I was not going to the hospital, to stop bothering the COs and sergeants, and that all this was your own fault for taking other inmates' medication. I was completely stunned and adamantly denied that I had taken anyone else's medication. The physician assistant said that I must have, that it was the only explanation for my eyes going cross, and that it was obviously a drug reaction. I cried and told her it wasn't true, that it was something neurological, and begged to go to the hospital. I told her that I was positive I was going to pass away, begged her to save me. Cold as ice, she called in the CO, and said, "Take her back to her cell. Tell everyone to stop bringing her here. She's wasting my time." I felt absolutely helpless. I was sure that I was gravely ill and that the jail administration was just going to let me pass away in my cell, alone and scared. In complete agony, I was moved to the ground floor as a safety precaution and laid on my bunk, basically waiting to either become unconscious or pass away. The other inmates became involved, told staff they had to help me, but were met with deaf ears. About 2 hours later, I remember adjusting my head, and I immediately felt the pain in my head and neck. That caused me to start screaming uncontrollably. It felt like my brain was too big for my head and my head would explode. The sergeant on duty was called, and when he came to my cell, I recalled saying, "Please, you have to help me. I'm a human being. I'm only 26 years old. Please don't let me pass away in here." I was overwhelmed with joy and gratitude when he replied, "Okay, get your shoes on. We'll get you checked out." I sobbed uncontrollably and just kept thanking him. He had to keep his arm around me to help me walk up the hall. We got to the end of the hall, and he stopped to open a side door and let me in. We entered a room with a desk, 2 cells, and a shower. He opened the cell door to one of the cells and set me down on a wood bench. He left, shutting the door behind him. I asked him, "When am I going to the hospital?" To which he replied, "You're not. We can't have you screaming like that, bothering everyone on the unit. You are staying in constant watch until you can grow up." I was absolutely devastated. I was being held in the cells they usually use to watch people who are insane. Then,